And now, with a 60-second improvised speech about why the Oscars should have a montage after the in memoriam about all the babies born in Hollywood, please welcome Alex Knight.
All right. It's definitely important to have a montage of the babies being born. It's because time is a flat circle, not a flat circle. Time's different than we think it is. We perceive it in one way, but those babies do need to be celebrated. And I think even if they're babies that aren't gonna make it, we should just put 10 babies, 10 new babies that we're going to keep our eyes on. And they should do that for sports. They should do that for everything. And I would love to just track a baby and see its life. This is proposing that they're going to be actors. And so these are the 10. They're going to be like children of actors. Like we'll get Jim from The Office's baby and Emily Blunt's baby, and that'll be one of them. And we just get to track them, and we get to hope, and we get to stage parent them or whatever and push them in that direction, because it's like it's an investment that we get to watch. And wherever that baby goes, we're all going to know. It's basically a Truman Show, but there's 10 babies every year. I thought American Idol was special, but then they did another season and then another season. So the more you do that, the more you water it down. Okay, cool.
That's true. Good job.
Okay. All right. Man. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, no
There
problem.
is something there. All right, folks, here's a 1-minute riff by Sarah Kennedy about what's the worst smell?
The worst smell is a smell you can't recreate. And I truly believe this. I think there's some stuff that from my childhood that I'm always like, I wish I could remember exactly where I even smelled it sometimes. Like the first time I went to Vegas, there was a smell inside the Venetian that was so special to me. And every time I've gone back, I will literally go into the Venetian to sniff it, which I think is a totally normal thing to do. And it never smells like it did the first time I went. And I guess maybe it's because people don't smoke in casinos anymore, and they did at that time. And so the smell was to cover up the smoke, but then the combination of the two is what made my first time in Vegas so memorable. And the smell is connected to memory in such a real way that when you can't recreate a smell and you can't get it back, it's almost like you've lost the access to that memory. And so there's things too that I think about, like Fur's Cafeteria used to make this millionaire pie that was like just sugar pie, but it had a very specific smell to it too. Can't get that back. Can't get that back.
Time. Yeah. That sense memory is pretty strong. There's like a smell of my grandma's barn that I've smelled every 5 or 6 years. It'll like whiff through my nose, and it's really powerful stuff.
What would you have said was the worst smell? What would
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard not to go blue with that. It's got to be some sort of rotting body, death. Death, maybe.
Death is a bad one.
That's pretty bad. It sucks when you smell like death in your house and you're like, something's dead under the house, or I'm gonna find that little mouse.
Yeah. Death has come to visit. I can smell it.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's get started.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv and stand-up collide. And now, here's your hosts, Alex Knight and Sarah Kennedy.
Yay!
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. Hello to everybody who's watching us. It's the Goofball Coalition, the podcast where improv and stand-up play Spin the Bottle.
Did you play Spin the Bottle?
I have before. I didn't today.
When was the last time? It's been a while, right?
Yeah. The last time I played Spin the Bottle was in like a New Year's Eve with all my college friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it a lot. It was like a fun thing for us. And then just one day we just stopped. And
it's weird how all those things happen. You just stop doing a thing, and then you look back. The first time I played Spin the Bottle, I remember it was my buddy's birthday, and it was like the first co-ed, you call it co-ed birthday. And we played it, and I was so shy. They were like, Alex, you don't have to kiss Alex on the lips. Those were the rules. Like I wanted them. And in hindsight, I love kissing. I love kissing. I was just too shy to realize it at the time.
You just, you tucked yourself out of some kisses.
Yeah, it's a nice place in my life where I was like, I was innocent for sure for a little bit.
I think we played 7 Minutes in Heaven one time in 7th grade, and we had to go into the pantry of my friend Stephanie's house.
That's crazy. That one sounds crazy.
Yeah, but we just literally looked at all the snacks on our shelf.
You weren't supposed to. You were supposed to.
You were supposed to be in heaven, and I guess
unleash. Yeah,
you were in snack heaven. But yeah, so that wasn't me and Dustin. I remember very specifically. It was Dustin. I can't remember his last name. I know. Don't need to blow up his spot. It's fine. So on today's episode, we just thought we'd look at some news headlines and just talk about something that's going on in improv and in stand-up out in the world. So
There's stuff
uh,
happening. How
there
crazy.
is. Let's do the AI one first. Does that sound like a good
Yeah,
plan?
sure. Let's do it.
All right. So the topic of this article is just that artificial intelligence takes on Dallas comedy in a new improv show. And so what this show is, they have programmed an AI to
It
feed.
sounds like she was going to give them characters.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to take the place of the audience suggestions from what I'm seeing here. So
But
she's
then
no,
it said
she's
that they type in audience suggestions and then she uses those audience suggestions to create characters that they'll play or something. And then there was also something about how they had programmed her that she has a Shakespearean history. Like her character, Amy, the AI, has a history of like theater in her.
oh, that's
So I wasn't totally clear about what the show was. But yeah, it sounds
yeah.
like she's definitely, they feed something to her and then she feeds the improviser something and then they do long form improv.
Yeah.
based on that.
Amy will be fed audience suggestions that will be used to generate characters for the performers to embody throughout the show.
So what is she's like? She's like, this is an old fat man who fishes and
Yeah.
he talks like this. And then a guy will play them, I wonder?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Audience was like vampire victim, and then Amy was like, but a Shakespearean one, and then
Yeah, this has always been AI coming for our jobs slowly, everyone's jobs, and ours seem like ones that are safe,
Mhm.
but maybe not. But the end of the article, it did say it will not replace us.
Well, see,
But
that's
even to
good.
bring it in there, though, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. I'm struggling with AI personally as like a visual artist too. I do like drawings that
Yeah.
are very easily replicatable. If I plugged them all into an AI, that it could create stuff just like mine. And I don't know. There's something weird about the AI. My main thing about AI is that it's got no stakes, right?
No.
For you to do stand up and fuck up is incredibly embarrassing and devastating emotionally in
It
the
is.
best way. That's the challenge. That's the pressure. That's the fun. Same with improv. And if you take that away, then that person has no risk. That AI has no risk. And so I think part of the danger is gone. It's like watching, they liken it to acrobats somewhere in the article, I think, and maybe it was the TI one, whatever. One of the articles, they link it to acrobats. And yeah, you're there for the danger. And if the danger is not there for one of the performers, the AI, what's the point?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. It does. If you take away the danger, it takes away a lot of the tension, which is where humor can pop tension and create laughs. But
Mhm.
I do think about, I don't know, if you ride the Star Wars ride at MGM Studios or whatever, that little guy is already pre-programmed with Pee Wee Herman's voice, and he's funny.
Sure.
He's
I don't
not. There's
know.
no stakes for him.
I haven't
You
met him,
never.
but yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah,
or
there's something that can be done about
Chuck E.
that.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Or like those kind of like static performance, like animatronic performances are a
But I
physical
guess
thing.
those jokes at least then were written at least by a person,
Good
right?
point. Yes, that's true. So,
So you can go, that joke fucking sucked, and somewhere a guy is, oh, they didn't like my joke. But
and
yes,
AI is just
it
like
can still be
pulling.
pulled off.
Yeah. One thing about this too is, would you use AI if it meant you got rid of the audience suggestions? Do you get the same audience suggestions over and over again that you wish you could put some
But
of?
what you have to do in improv is you learn to, I don't know, I'm sure there's many different words for it. I call it like casting a net, where you go, we need a suggestion of a relationship, like brother, sister, or teacher, student. And so you're putting the boundaries and the audience can like then think between those lines. So there's a way that you can go fishing and get certain things. So if I'm like, could I get a city like New York or Chicago? You might give me LA or whatever. There's ways
Yeah.
like mentalist manipulate them and get things, or stay away from things. Or you can burn suggestions like spatula and say an item in the kitchen that's not a spatula.
That's a smart.
Yeah,
You actually,
we will
this
get
sounds a
repeating
lot
things.
like AI prompting. Like you
It's
really
the
can.
same thing.
Yeah.
It's really the exact same thing. It all is. And that's the thing, is the AI is just another person that is an amalgam of all the people that have inputted into it, right? But they're not there either. So I don't know. There's a place for it for sure, but I'm still not sure about how it fits into our stuff. I know there's been stand-up shows, I think, where they get like AI prompts or whatever. We did our first couple of monologue ones were AI prompts. So there's
I did a
places to
show.
push improv or push comedy out of AI, but the AI itself delivering it doesn't seem.
I don't like it.
know. You know?
Yeah. I did a show, and maybe we talked about this before, where comedians, while they were joking, I was feeding their jokes as prompts into like Mid-Journey. And then we just show the art at the end. And it was great when it was bad, because it was really funny to be like, look at this. Whoa, gross. And then now it got too good and I don't want to do it anymore. And it scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Why is it? Yeah. Why don't we love it? Because there are, again, this comedy theater in Dallas, they're using
Embracing
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is newsworthy. If you can find a way to incorporate AI into things, number one, there's a ton of like venture capital money in it. So you could, if you really wanted to pitch something, that'd be cool. But then also it's an easy fast track to getting a lot of press right now.
Yeah.
At what cost?
Yeah, this is so small, but even down to the idea that AI is taking up a space in that show where like a person could be
Sure.
expressing themselves in some way, but it's
Like a
you
real
know, it seems like a
Shakespearean expert.
novelty for sure, just a novelty now. What about there's the stand-up sets that have been written by AIs. Have
Yeah.
you listened to those? And that Carlin one that
The
was really
Carlin
good
one?
that ended up being fake, that was written
Yeah.
by people?
Yeah. And I think that's really, truly what the problem is right now with improv. No, that's not the problem with improv. It's a great thing that's happening with AI.
Yeah.
The problem with AI is that it's still too humanly mushed with. So it's not true artificial intelligence. It does the model learning, but also it usually is being prompted well by a human. And like in the Carlin one, just smushed together with real comedian writing stuff in between. So
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I've done a couple as a joke just because I didn't have anything else I wanted to say at the mic, but I knew I had to get up. And so I just
Mhm.
like was like, oh, write me 5 minutes of a feminist like comedy thing. Like I said very specifically, oh, this is my AI feminism
Yeah, yeah.
101 and that kind of stuff. But
And how was it? So again, it's probably just funny because of the novelty of it,
yeah, the
right?
joke is that it's terrible. So I wouldn't ever say any of the jokes.
If they were good jokes, would you ever take them and put them into your shit?
I Yeah, my issue right now is that because it's a smush up of everybody and everybody's thoughts and writing, I can't see it not being excessively hacky. It just
Yeah.
would sound like it would be the most universal experience, but not in a connection, like a human connection way. It just
Which
hits
is
on.
what we are, right? Except like we are all the things we've ever seen, all the movies we've seen, the Star Wars, and so all that's in there. But then it's also filtered through our individual personal experiences, heartbreaks, and all that stuff, and bad choices.
Yeah,
And AI is just the amalgam, but it doesn't have a filter to
the stakes are too low
run it
again.
through. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it's coming, right?
yeah,
It will. That Carlin thing, though, was half human. The next one might not be, right? And then you
yeah.
could get a hologram to do it, and people would probably pay it. I would not pay, but I would be interested in like a Bill Hicks,
Oh,
like hologram,
wow,
whatever.
he
If
moved
it
around the
was
stage too
his
much.
new ideas of the fucking world we live in now, but
Yeah,
like really tuned to his spirit and soul, I'd be interested. But I don't think I would pay money. I don't want to support
yeah, it's wild.
that. I don't know.
Improv with a hologram would also probably be pretty interesting too, to like to bounce
Mhm.
something off of somebody that's not even really there, but wants to connect with you.
Yeah, but fucking why? Why? It's like I'm there to connect with this other person and do that, and like that I don't know, Sarah. It's so we're just stumped almost. We're
Yeah,
like, I don't like it. I
yeah.
don't have really strong math for why I don't like it.
But it's good for us to talk about this now because we can check in. We can do this once a year, every year, and be like, the
Yeah.
machines have taken over, and we're still doing this podcast. So it's a good way to keep track.
It is, yeah, it's crazy that it's definitely affecting both of our fields in some way,
It is.
a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about TI. So we'll go from AI to TI.
Sure.
TI has been popping up at comedy clubs, like all over, basically, and just dropping in and doing sets. The stuff that I've seen, like just recorded off of people's cell phones and stuff, hasn't been groundbreaking. But we found this article today, and it didn't vibe, but it's specifically that Ti jokes about new age trap music and a stand-up comedy performance, which makes it sound like it's coming another one of those cell phone recordings of him just doing a drop in somewhere. But it's actually for the reboot of BET's Comic View that Ti gets to be on. This is a thing that like, even in the like big comedy boom where they would do like the night at the improvs in the 80s and 90s, Jason Alexander would go and do one of those because he was on Seinfeld even though he
Sure.
wasn't a stand-up comedian. And stand-up has that low barrier for entry where people can just decide that they do it now. And if they're already famous for one thing, this is a way to keep or get a new thing to be famous about or
Yep.
have a different kind of IP. And the part of the reason why I wanted to share this with you is that does that happen with improv?
Again, I don't think so. It's funny. We've had a Better Call Saul guest like Ray
Yeah.
Seahorn and stuff, and they're not doing weekly improv shows or whatever. And they're terrified of it. It's not something I think people want to jump into. There's no accolades either in improv. Again, Ti is now there's shows for that. There's places that you can go with stand up, I think, but there's not really with improv. It really is. But yeah, it's pointless in a sense. It goes away. No one's seeing it. It's not actually building a career. It's like just building a skill set and having a great moment with people and with an audience, I think. But yeah, I think it is less career pushing, like you're not going to get much done, and there's not much jumping because of that. Like watching Middleditch and Schwartz like do
Oh,
their Netflix thing, it was like, wait, who are these? Like, how did they get this? But then it's no, they've been doing what I've been doing on the side. They've been doing improv with their buddies for years and years. So no, they're my people. But it did feel like, oh, just because they're famous. But no, it's better. It's they've worked hard and they're using all that hard work to put their thing out there. But look how big that did.
that was
And how
great.
many other, but is there any other ones? Have there been any other improv specials? It didn't really blow up the world.
They're trying.
They're not more famous because of that. I don't think. If anything, less famous somehow because they're like improvisers
Well,
know it, but I
There's a
don't think
long
yet.
story about that, but yeah,
Oh,
for
well.
sure. So Dry Bar Comedy is like a production company that makes specials for stand up. You can pretty easily. I don't want to say that. People who have Dry Bar Comedy specials work really hard and deserve their special, but they just started an offshoot that's meant for improv, and I think that they've got a whole separate vertical that's
Oh.
all for catching improv shows and showing them over and over again or that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So it might be coming for you. But
They're
all
good. There's like a place for it. It just really, again, has not been picked up. It's just a different kind of thing, I think.
they and you've mentioned it before too that like you like improv because you're an actor and it's an actor's thing. So you could even if an actor wants to pop in and do it, they're still
That was the thing. Sorry. Yeah. When Ray came in, they're terrified, but then they're great because they're good actors. And that's
Yeah.
all that really matters is it's less about being funny and being all that stuff. They don't have to deliver on that. They just have to be present. If they're
sure.
good. Yeah.
But if Jason Aldean, the country singer, walked in and was like, "I'd like to just hop in on this show with y'all," do you think he'd?
No, I don't think so. No. Yeah. It's not. It is a hard skill set. It's a lot
Yeah.
of skill that's happening in there. Yeah.
If Jason Aldean decided to start doing stand up, it'd be over for us. He'd probably be on BET's Comic View faster than I would.
That is, yeah, there's just so quickly fame really, people want to watch a famous person do anything, really.
Yeah. And if it's just, there was a couple years ago when I was obsessed with All My Children, one of the actors was going around the country as a stand-up comedian, and he came to Albuquerque and they did a huge news article about it. And me and my mom really contemplated going just because we loved All My Children that much. And so,
Yeah.
but that's really what it is. Like people want to go see the famous person.
How was he?
I'm fine. Luckily he had his entire career also done stand-up at the exact same time, so he was
Okay.
good.
Okay, so there
But
you go.
he was just leaning on his credit to
Sure.
get the people out. But
Hmm.
who knows? What do we got today? We got a whole bunch of what's happening. The whole vibe today is the future.
That's the world. That's the world. Yeah. So what else? We've also got a new Second City.
Yeah,
we
the
have an old Second City closed in LA in 2022, and now new Second City is opening up in
New York,
First City.
which I find to be hilarious because the whole reason why it's called Second City is because Chicago is not New York. Isn't that correct?
I think so. Yeah,
they're
it was
putting
the
it-
Second City.
Yeah, and they're putting it in the first one.
Again, good, more comedy theaters, the more the better. And yeah, it does feel like things are going up for comedy in general. New theaters are good things for
Mhm.
sure.
And they reopened. They kept the Upright Citizens Brigade that was in Santa Monica, but then they closed almost all. I think they closed all of the New York ones, including the
Mhm.
training center, and then they've started to reopen.
Yeah. And I'm not in on that, but it just seemed like it just got too big for its britches. And then COVID hurt it a little bit too. But yeah, it just seemed like it was this really aggressive machine that was more about, at least when I was there, it felt like it was a lot about the money and pushing students and stuff through the program and like way less about what is this thing that we care about.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm really interested about this Second City Theater because it happens to be like 4 or 5 blocks from where I used to live in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
And thinking about where it's at, I'm like, it's not even a cool neighborhood anymore. I
Mhm.
don't know. So it's like it's in pretty regular Williamsburg, which I guess is still fine. But now it has an Apple store and all. I guess so maybe it's a good fit for it. People are going there looking for
Yeah.
regular things now instead of cool
And
warehouse
it's
parties.
bad business bringing it up, but was it you that brought up that an article said that we were in Skid Row?
Oh yeah, I did bring that up
We're
because
in
that's
the
what they
Albuquerque
say.
Skid Row? Yeah.
Because the Wall Street Journal wrote about Gertrude's house, which is now the Turquoise Museum,
Uh-huh.
and they kick it off by being like, among Albuquerque's Skid Row is this gorgeous mansion, and they go into it, and that is across from Zindo Coffee, which is
Lovely.
arguably one of the finer places in this entire city.
But so our place is in Skid Row.
That's
but
fair. Yeah, it's the box among.
among
that's
the,
fine.
yeah. Yeah, we'll not talk about that.
Yeah. And so they're I guess the end of this article that came out in February is saying that they opened up a call for auditions in New York instead of bringing people with them and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's pretty exciting.
And what it said, thousands of people showed up.
Yeah.
Close
Yeah.
it.
Pretty cool. I want to hear more about when you auditioned for Second City.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just lots of tall white men in suits
Sure.
dressed up, and yeah, I don't know. It's so interesting that it's this thing that you and I swear by it. We love our comedy, and it's no surprise that more theaters don't open up and more auditions. Like, people love it, and it's weird that I don't know. It's weird that it doesn't sustain itself better. That theaters have to open up and close and this and that. Like, I don't understand why society doesn't help us more.
Mm,
As weird
mhm.
as that is, that cry for help of you love this stuff, but we do get lost in TV productions and fucking Star Wars special effects and AIs and
Sure.
stuff. And you truly do love this stuff. This stuff is, I think, healthier and better for you. And yeah.
Yeah. This is a weird question that is a little bit off topic, but I'm very curious about it. Stand up, we have a lot of bar shows, even though now we have 2 comedy clubs, and improv, you guys have the Box in Albuquerque, but I'm not seeing any. There's even some independent teams. There are long form teams and stuff like that are still under the umbrella of the Box, but nobody
Yeah.
is doing them in any other theaters or anything. Or I think maybe on campus, probably at UNM. That was a place where it used to
Maybe,
be.
yeah, there used to be a little bit there. Again, I think it's you got to put everything in under one roof to try to get if people want to see your improv show, they know at least there's an improv theater there and stuff. I think people will start to now, like some of these teams will start to branch out. It doesn't quite fit in a coffee shop. It doesn't quite fit at a bar as well. It is theater
Mhm.
more than comedy sometimes, and it wants to be in a theater generally. And yeah,
It was one of those things when we opened Dry Heat that we told Doug and Kristen we wouldn't ever do improv. And
Mhm.
plus our stage was so small that the fire marshal was like, no more than 2 people on the stage at any time. So it was like an easy way for us to be like,
Oh sure.
no, can't really, we're not really meant for
Did
that.
anyone
Like,
ever approach you?
not really. Like we had people, we had like audience members be like, you should get some like improv in here. And we were like, nah, it's the
Huh.
Box. They do that. But we've
Yeah.
never really, we've had a couple other kinds of performances, like music stuff. And like tonight we've got poetry and we're like helping facilitate a poetry festival in town. But other than that, it's been pretty straightforward stand up.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, like the improvisers don't just come out of nowhere where stand-ups can. I think you can just go one day, like, I want to be a stand-up, and you'll start writing, you'll find the open mic. But improv, you do take a class, you do find the people, like the community comes from the theaters normally, I think.
Yeah.
That's again why people get all brainwashed and why we're in trouble here that we only have one theater
Mhm.
because it's an art form. And so you'll get stuck in the UCB way of thinking and you'll go to all their classes, go to their shows because you've invested so much in it that you need to keep going there. And
Yeah.
so then you also need to defend it and believe in it. And people are like, fuck that theater. You're like, no, it's the one I'm going to. So it's the best one. It's the
Yeah.
one I believe in. It's good. And we only have one theater here. So it is a danger in being the artistic director. It's a danger of not wanting people to think this is the only way of doing it. It's my weird way plus my group of people and all their influence. And it's how we have decided to do it as a community within the Box.
Yeah.
And we would love for that to break out. There's Santa Fe Improv that's doing stuff
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit
That's
differently
true.
and stuff
Mhm.
as well. And so, yeah, it's starting. Hopefully there'll be an Espanola improv, some Towson.
Yeah.
You never know. That should be weird.
Yes, Bendola. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
mhm.
Okay, time to go to the third segment.
Let's do it.
All right, third segment. I have an update about our Patreon.
Yes.
I'm super excited about it because now we're up to 5 patrons.
Ooh, that means it's not even.
It's not even at all. And in fact, improv has pulled ahead. And congratulations to you. Great job.
Thank you.
Also, I think, I think this is because stand-up comedians are poor. So then people can't
improvisers are
spread the
generally
wealth.
very rich.
Well,
Very
that was what we
rich.
talked about in New York a lot, but that's
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's just different. But
I mean, there are some doctors and lawyers actually in our group. Yeah, it is interesting.
we literally have a doctor and a lawyer. No,
Yeah.
we have 2, and then I think we've got like a mechanical engineer, and then everybody else is like a door dasher and a freelancer. So that's pretty much what I'm
Self-employed.
both of those. I'm not a door dasher yet, but it's coming. Good. So congratulations, Team Improv, for being ahead of the game. If
DoorDash
you would like,
jokes. Could you DoorDash jokes?
can I
mean, you're
DoorDash
sending
jokes?
telegrams. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a business for send a stand up to your doorstep to give you like 3 or 4 jokes?
I would be mortified if I was tapped to do this, to do that exact
And
thing.
they'd probably be like a corporate gig where it'd be like, she likes puppies, she likes flowers, it's her birthday.
Yeah, go.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
I paid a comedian one time to dress up like a chicken and go do like a singing telegram, but
Mhm.
that was just, and so that was a solo performance, but it wasn't jokes.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
you need a crowd. And I guess you could deliver almost like fortune cookies. They can have jokes in them, but
Yeah. Yeah, not the same. Not the same. I'm just thinking, yeah, we've talked about that corporate shows where you have to pander. Some friends went to see the Whose Line Is It Anyway? I did not make it to see it at Popejoy. But yeah, they said there was a lot of local jokes None of those people were local. So there's just something weird about that. Like,
That's interesting.
thank
That's
you for talking about green chili, but if you haven't had it again, it's going back to almost this AI generated materials somewhat, you know?
yeah. The stakes are too low. You don't know what you're talking about. And then also,
Mhm.
it's the best part about what you always say too is if you're striving for truth and you're trying to find like a real connection with
Yeah.
the people you have on stage, then you'll have a connection with the audience. You don't have to
Yeah,
lean
I mean,
on.
but I think if you went there, you really want those local things because it's comedy and it's improv and you're right there, and so you want it. But come to our places where you will get genuine local
Real
jokes,
people. Yeah.
real Espanola jokes. Yes, Senora.
Yes, and Nola.
Espanola. That's
Perfect.
just for us.
Yeah. What do you got going on this week? And this episode comes out today, so you can really plug
Oh my
something.
gosh. Just shows Fridays and Saturdays at 8, but we right now for the end of this month, but in April we're moving back to 9 o'clock for the
Ooh, fancy.
summer because the light creeps in a little bit and you can't be doing improv with the sunlight.
I
Even
cannot
creeping in
tell
a
you
little.
how thrilled I am to move out of a west-facing
Wow,
location.
yeah.
We had to
Wow, that's true
even
with
our
a huge
open mics.
parking lot. If there was a
Yes.
building across from you, but yeah.
No. So yeah, it's gonna be so nice once we're in the box and the annex in particular. It faces north, so easy. That's easy to keep dark.
You got anything
Um,
going on?
yeah, this week is our last week in the space with shows. So
Very cool. Check them out.
tonight and tomorrow we've got the poetry festival, and then Saturday night is our last two shows, and there's Eka Beta and friends, and he's done a really cool thing where the first one at 7:30 is all newer comics and him, and then the second one at 9:30 is all established comics and him, and then we're just going to send off the space. And tomorrow we have our writing circle. We have a writing circle every Sunday, or I guess that'll be Sunday. Sunday we have the writing circle because we do it every Sunday, and then after that we really are tearing everything down inside the space. So
Cool.
yeah,
You
it's
need
gonna.
help with that?
Yeah, if you want
Volunteers?
to come by, if anybody else wants to come by,
Come on down. Help
Yeah.
them out.
it'll be fun. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.